All right. How's everybody doing today? Let me make sure I got. Yeah, you can hear me? That's good. Everybody's doing all right today, I hope. So we're having a little bit of fun today. I made some progress as to why I couldn't access Kepware. And I'm feel really I don't know. It was a really the rubber ducking did not work because I forgot to tell you that during that time of testing, the computer that I installed Kepware on, which is this computer that I'm working on right now, is not where my node red was installed. So when I tried to do localhost, it wouldn't work. Surprising, because it didn't exist. I did not localhost or loopback, which is everything I was trying. I wasn't trying to use an absolute address because I was like, we're on the same computer. I was not. And offline, I did some testing, and it was as straightforward as you'd expect. And I got it up and running. So let's just go ahead and go through that process. So I'm going to reinitialize my Kepware. If you don't know anything about Kepware, Kepserve EX, that's where we're going to be focusing on today. It's an OPC server provided by PTC. Kepware. You'll probably hear me call it Kepware. They were acquired. Kepware was acquired by PTC. Can't remember how long ago, but for me, that's just the term I use. So when you hear Kepware, Kepserve EX, and if you're curious about where that is, where is product suite? Kepserve EX. And that's the what I'm familiar with and use. So you have questions? That's what I'm referring to. Kepserve EX. Real cool product. One of the ones that I've used a lot. And then we tested last week Process, which was another great product. One of the things that I struggled with once I started kind of getting into this was I didn't quite understand really the fundamentals of OPC, and we're learning that now. And what I mean by that is it functions similarly to just PLCs in a lot of ways, is that there's addressing that exists that goes to, let's say, function blocks and data blocks and db1.dbx 0.0 if you're working on the Siemens side of the world, especially the S7300 time frame. I actually got a Slack message I gotta check real quick. Sorry, I'm actually working on creating. I'm going to be creating a how-to article on how to do this, so I'm getting the artwork created right now. So that's why I was like, oh, need to make sure I've got that set up. All right, so let's start over. Okay, I did find some additional information, which was key. Sorry, I've got to answer this. Node red to an OPC. Kep server. All right, so one of the things that I was talking about, that addressing piece, is that I'm Kepware, Kep server PTC. You don't really mess with this addressing so much. It's more of like the naming conventions and the structure. So if I open up Kep server, we'll go to the configuration. How you address to the Kep server is you do it very similar to, let's say, MQTT naming space convention. Where is it? Give me the configuration, buddy. Let's just stop runtime service. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Nope. I guess I just had a thread in it. The naming convention is, for example, I believe if I recall, it'd be like project / connectivity / simulation examples / functions / the tag name that you're trying to look at. Whereas that actually corresponds to this information that exists underneath. It just does that translation for you instead of having to know that. Similar to how this is traditional, stuff, not necessarily, not present day. For example, like when S7300 PLCs, you would do absolute addressing. So db1.dbx0.0, and that would represent like a bit. And that's really actually how you do a lot of that addressing still from the OPC system, like Kepware. So for example, if I come in here, it's been a while, so create a new channel. I think I will do, let's say, Siemens S7. Let's forget. Semantic. I think it's TCP IP Ethernet. And then I would say next, and I call this Siemens controllers. Who knows? I might be default network adapter. We're gonna do my local Wi-Fi because I don't have anything connected to connected Wi-Fi. And then to click next. And next, and finish. So from here, I would add a device, and we'll call this 1200, because I have a 1200 PLC. Maybe what we'll do is we'll try to connect to it. Just a 1200. All right, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna find this IP address real quick. Was not planning on getting to this level, but we're gonna have fun. We're gonna connect to this PLC. Let's see. Come on, buddy. Oh, let's go into my old IPS. There we go. I'm just trying to find an IP address for the Siemens PLC. If you're just tuning in, my clients. Yeah, we're just gonna look at my full clients list. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find this IP address. We'll not be able to do that today. Well, that's not it. All right. Well, I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. At least not right now. Yeah. All right. So we won't put anything, but that basically is how you add a device. I'll see if I can find that later. But yeah. So do have to keep this. So to connect to a Kep server, we're gonna we're just gonna create a new page, and we're gonna do an inject node, and then our browser, debug. And yep, we came in here. We're going to use the local host and just leave it as is. And to see the configuration, OPC 127 localhost 49320, which is the IP address, or the port for Kepserve EX. And I'm not going to have a topic here, but actually that's what I could do, is just actually drop that topic there. And that's the key, is I need to research what NS, a namespace 0 I equals 84. And I think is kind of like the identifier for this particular device. And when I run this, let's clear all this out. And when I click run, we are now going to get a list of the Kep server. Did I do that right? We need to set this. Okay, so that's the browse. Display objects. Okay, so this is the client, not the browser. OPC UA client. There. And we're going to do an action of browse. We're not going to put a topic in here. Don't have any certificates for this particular system. Topic is that. Payload, deploy, clear this, and run. Now, it creates the full list of devices that are inside of this particular OPC server. Now, I wrote a script, or had help writing a script, to basically take this information. I'm going to just copy the script real quick and we'll switch over and I'll show you what it does. But I have... There's just a lot of information here, and what I wanted to capture is the naming convention and store that somewhere, so I can see all the different types of devices that existed in this in a very easy to use format. And let's just see what that function did. Drop it in here. Because I'm doing a regular expression and we're capturing regex and we're matching it with message payload.array, getting message topic match regex. And then we were saving that to flow context. So if I switch over to flow context, dashboard, and I look at flow context, I now have the array of device structures. So similar to what I was talking about before, it's like underscore data logger, channel data types, system underscore system. So when you think about system, the OPC has a systems properties, and anything underscore is kind of like your system information and the data. So like, for example, you have data logger underscore EMF IDF underscore IoT gateway, local historian, and all of these different tools within the payload for discovering. And I wanted to store those in this structure, because then when I browse, I want to say, okay, I want to look and capture that data. And what we then did is we had, and I slept a couple times since I last worked on this, so just make sure we're on the same page. Because we're getting all the flows, storing into flow context. Then I wanted to create an inject node, pull the data from flow context, and then start breaking it down into a more usable like structure. I went through the whole process, and once I figured out, like, we pulled off of the find it real quick. If I go to this, configure mount, manage palettes, and we look at this one, I copy this, details, and this is where we can get a lot of the examples. Grab an example from here. I want to say we just did example flow and pull that data in. That gives us this structure over here. And when I do like the test server browse, done, deploy, maybe that's what we should just focus on, is this one over here right now. And I click browse, gave us all of the different items. So this is the naming structure in a namespace and identification. And I realized that that was great and all, but it didn't kind of give us context. And I wanted to filter out all those unidentified devices. That's where I started moving on to kind of pulling that out. And if we want to read from, let's say, an OPC item, I don't think I got this far with Kepware because I was already beyond this. So it's not even. Okay, there we go. That's where I'm defining which Kepware. So free memory, don't really care about that. OPC UA item. see. If we can pull one of these. Property groups, general. Quick client. And what I want is like the namespace information. ID 505. So if this is namespace 0, that's what I have here. Namespace 0, I4. Namespace 0. And wish I could just copy that right directly from there so I could get all the structure and names. All right. Maybe switch back over to Kepware. Properties. Okay. Let's go back over to this. So simulation examples dot functions dot ramp 1, and this is a type long. Let's say it said it was 64, so I just remember I felt like that was a double. It's a 4 byte. And 32. That sounds about right. Let's get what our debug says. Did we get it? Okay, doesn't exist in the server space. Okay, I can copy there. One does basically. I think I got it right. Yeah. So if I can't read it there. But I also see that it is properties address is 505. So what if I do this? Where did I see that? 5. Done. There's a node that doesn't exist in the server test. Let's go back to flow context. And I want to see what I get when I data type examples. What I want is the simulation examples. Those are all system variables. Simulation functions. Functions, there we go. So this is the naming convention, which that doesn't really help me too much, because we already know. All right, so maybe we should just figure out how the naming convention works. OPC addressing format. So a node identifier can be a string. Cool. So let's do that. ID equals string cannot be course to a node ID. Okay. S. So maybe you should try S, my variable name. Node that doesn't exist in the So namespace 2. If I got an error there. Okay, so payload 83. So it was namespace 2, and our payload is 87, 80. Okay. Let's do one that's more of a static number. Or better yet, let's just create. So if I come over here to simulations and we can create a new tag, we'll call this, you know what I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna call it cheese. Lowercase address. We'll just keep it a long. I think that should work for. And if we come back down here to simulate function, where is cheese is a long. Beautiful. And it's not changing, which is what I want. We're going to change ramp 1 to cheese. Deploy. And should get 0. Perfect. Payload 0. I can come in here and say synchronous write. And we'll call this 50. Apply. And now when I read 50. Perfect. So namespace 2, S is for the key value pairs of saying, hey, I'm wanting to talk directly to a specific address and function. So let's kind of go through this really quick. I'm going to record this so I can watch it later. But all right, we are going to do a snap, or what is it called? Clip it. We're going to clip it. Okay, so we have our Kepware server running, OPC localhost. Make sure you're running on the same computer. We're doing an action of read. We don't have any configuration or security on this one just for now for testing. And we're going to read a function called cheese. And namespace 2 for Kepware, S equals for your naming convention. So simulation examples functions cheese, and we're going to click done. Deploy. Right now we should be expecting a value of 50 when I run this. And if I click run, value payload of 50. If I come in here and change it to 55, click apply, run it. And now we see payload of 55. If I now want to write, actually, I'm going to just clip that real quick. If I want to write, we can do that same reverse process. Copy, write, 77, done, and leave everything else should be fine, done. Clear it, and if I write, type long, we needed to type int 32, done, and write. there we go. Current value is 77. We can read it now. And we see that we get 77. Perfect. So what things could we do with this information? We've done the big kahuna up this point. We are reading and writing to a Kep server. The biggest things is your naming convention for Kepserve EX. I'm gonna just paste this in chat. String, let's say topic, to connect to a node to a Kep server EX OPC tag. That's the word I'm looking for. Boom. We'll keep it as cheese. There we go. Cool. So now and that's another thing is the Kep server, I don't know if I mentioned this before, it will run for 2 hours before you have to restart it. Now what I was trying to do before the last time I was after I got off stream is I really wanted to create a kind of like a drop down, and I started working on it, and it didn't just come to fruition the way I wanted it to. Because what I'd like to do is create a drop down capabilities where I could like select on the server, select on the device name, and kind of drop down that tier structure, and so then it would automatically subscribe to that. Or I went down to the Viewtify template, and what I want to do, is do a tree view where I could basically come in here and like click, and these are all the ones that I want to select to subscribe to. So I can make like a subscription service by like selecting, which I think that would be really nice, right? And this was iteration number 1. Wasn't too big of a fan of it. Then I went to iteration number 2, which was a Viewtify. And so let's see if we can, which is part of dashboard 2.0. Make sure we got any updates. Nope, not since Thursday. And this was like the whole process is I was wanting to even just by default. So if I come over here, I should be able to see like that tree view. What time is it? It's a little late for those. Tree view. So oh, I'm looking at Beautify v3. That could be an issue. JS. Oh, okay. So it's not supported yet in v3 yet, and that's what we support. So that looks like it's common to the. Cool. Okay. So we'll wait for that to come out, and then what we'll do, similar to what we see on Beautify version 2, we'll have like a tree view. It looks like they're in development of that capabilities in the latest version. I'm starting on this tree view this week. Thank you for everyone's patience. We'll give it a heart as well, just so showing great support. That'd be nice. To be able to basically have this structure or layout for OPC and basically be able to select which ones, and then have every time you select one, it automatically subscribes. If you unselect it, it unsubscribes. And then you're going to be less taxing, because the last thing you want to do is just like select everything. And even that's just a general rule of thumb. You don't need to look at every single tag and pull it in. You just need to be prescriptive about which tags you want. Even though you have the capabilities of doing it all, you know, you just really don't need to overtax things unless they, you know, you need it. Might be a short stream today. Because really don't need to spend much time on that. We were able to write and read to a Kepware server. We did that and we experimented that here, where you've got your namespace. For browsing the browser, your namespace needs to be in S namespace 0. But if you read, it looks like namespace 0. So I wonder what namespace 1 is. Maybe we'll just do some online understanding. What happens if I browse namespace? What does I represent again? UA identifiers. Integer, string, G for GUID, B's for base 64. I was thinking that was going to be the case. I was like, base 64, that seems like that looks like base 64. Okay. That makes more sense now. So when I look at this, say properties, because this is the main identifier and interfaces, and we said inner ID is, or integer is 84, but why 84? Now I just want to see if I can prove that out. Just keep on clicking that, like that's going to show me new information. Connection type, build number, major count. Because when I come back and I select on one of these properties, I will get, let's say, the address information and the item ID. Kepware ex namespace explanation. All right, so let's browse. I've got this address file right here that it creates. Let's see if I find it. There we go. Okay. So now we can see the different namespaces, but it doesn't look like it used namespace. I might have used namespace 1, but I'm not seeing it. Zero and 2. I mean, because Kepware could reserve that for its own. Of course, it's like OPC use. Space equals 0, 0, semicolon. So that's the root. And then we have the internal. Okay. And what I was working on here, just for sake of just so we got some time, is I was importing the context store, flow context. We have the advanced tags and everything, and I was wanting to collapse it down into like a tree structure. And when I did that, I would get this structure. But really what we go down to simulated examples, and then we have the function. Then we have ramp, which doesn't have a child, but you kind of see like all the potentials. So if we had system, yeah, see there's our system, errors, and so forth. You can subscribe to the errors. And I'd like to take this whole structure you see here and make it part of a tree. And that's all done within this function. Ooh. That might be fun. I just want to mess with, I haven't messed with the mermaid charting and stuff like that, so. Fuse dashboard. Whoop. Mermaid. Dynamic mermaid charts. Okay, so if I do okay, cool. So if I do, how do I? So let's look at mermaid markdown. Because I'm not familiar with this structure. Okay, yeah, so we see that. Is there a mermaid tree? Mermaid markdown tree view. Gantt chart. Oh, that's cool. Could make our own. Mm-hmm. Don't want a Gantt, don't want a pie chart, quadrant chart, nope. 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 Maps. Excuse me. Mm-mm. All right, so object payload, copy that. Convert this payload into. I just want to see if we can do this. Flow chart. Please. It's probably gonna be like. Oh, I gotta deploy it. Let's see if we can do it. I'm gonna be I think that's cool if we can do it. Nah, looking promising. I might pull out ChatGPT and we'll just ask it in browser. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen just for a second. Okay. It did it, maybe. But did it? Oh, it stopped. It timed out. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's exactly what I want. Is there a way to write a function that will build this out? Way. Because my brain's like, I think, but that's pretty. Imported via mustache template. That'll make it. That'll be nice. Let's see if it works. Okay. So we're going to delete this. We're going to drop a function in. We can copy this. Paste that there. This code is that. To use the generate string with a mustache. Oh, I'm not too worried about that. So JSON.payload is message.payload. I don't want to console log anything. We probably just actually need to drop this as a debugging node first, because I don't want to crash my Node-RED instance just yet. Okay. Did not look like I wanted to. Oh, we didn't return message. Do we save it as message.payload? Might bark at me. So what I want to do. Ooh, I'm not saving that to flow.context. Okay, so. Seems like it's messing up because it should not have. Let's see if you can do this. Okay, it's message up payload. Yeah. I'll be right back. I need to take just a quick second, so be right back. All right, back. Okay. Seems like it's not automatically updating. Potentially found a bug. Yeah. D to H. So we got an error. Oh. It's still not. Just close that down because that's not doing something we're caring about right now. And so let's just do this. UI base name disconnected. Okay. So I should have a flow context. Yep, there we go. And then when I run that, okay, so it did update it then. H disconnected. UI base UI name. Let's call this cheese because you know that's my favorite one. And D to F deploy done. If I run that, does not. But where UI base name? Alright, so let's look at dashboard 2. Okay, that one's shut down. Cheese is right there. Top tier. Disable that one. Second tier, disable that one. Third tier, disable that one. Okay. DF. P. Z. Mm-hmm. I figured out what it is. So it's a markdown node. Only updates deploy. If a node is, if a markdown node is edited and deployed, but not a full deploy, the node isn't reloaded. Node isn't flagged for an edit. Is deployed. Then edited, but not a full deploy. Okay, so let's try this again now. I really want to dynamically drop into this as message.payload. Boom. Done. Deploy. How did it know? Okay, so let's take off this. Let's do this. Now I'm like saying do this, and that doesn't make sense, but message.payload equals mermaid diagram, semicolon, say return message, deploy. So yeah, that's what I thought. So now we gotta come in here and say, it's 1, 2, 3 mermaid. Then tick, tick, tick. We are done with this now. I think we've, yeah. Syntax error. That makes sense, because I didn't think that structure looked right. Mermaid have to have, yeah. Pride doesn't need spaces either. Okay. Is it because of the periods? Oh. Okay. Okay. don't think you can do it. So we're just having fun at this point. And at the same time, Mermaid's not the best for this because I can't do anything once I've created the flow. And so it's kind of useless, but still kind of fun to mess with. Not saying useless, but just not the right tool for the job. Like, just because you can doesn't mean it's the right tool. Like, the tree structure that we were looking at earlier is going to be the ideal way. It's not going to do it. All right. So all right, I think we're gonna call it a day. Stream for 2 hours. Did a little bit of OPC UA stuff with Kepware. Figured out how to do that. I saved that to snapshots. I'll be creating a blog on that. Expect that to come out next Monday about how to connect Kepware and basically all my findings here. Thanks for joining, and see you Thursday.